Hello, my name is Olga Cherkasova, and I am the president of IAB Belarus chapter. Here we are on the Leadership Talks project, where we get inspired by the successful and most famous and world-recognized business analyst. Stay tuned and watch IAB Belarus interviews. Hello, thank you so much for joining. Today, my guest is Barbara Karkinort. Barbara is one of the founder of the IAB. She joined very early. She's one of the author of the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. She's a prominent business analyst and trainer and speaker and author. I'm so happy that she joined our BA Leadership series, and she will help us today to learn more about business analysis and the idea why volunteering to the IAB is so nice. Barbara, thank you so much for being here. I'm really happy and I really appreciate your time. So tell us about the time when you started and joined the IAB group that started this International Institute of Business Analysis, the body that we are so dedicated.
Thanks, Olga. I'm happy to be here. I had started doing a lot of analysis work, before the IIBA, and I had a training company. I was teaching people how to do some analysis. And we had a lot of customers asking us for certification programs, and we actually built our own certification. But I knew that it would be more valuable if it was a professional association, not a private company. So when I heard about some people up in Toronto, Canada, who were going to try to start a professional association, I immediately got in touch with them and said, yes, I'll help in any way that I can. So I was really fortunate to meet up with them, before we actually started the association. And they were looking for volunteers because it was a very small group of people. And I said that I had written a lot of training courses and, done some thinking about analysis. So they invited me to help be on the BA BOC committee, the original group. And that was such a great experience. I met so many wonderful, smart business analysts. And I worked on the BA BOC for many years, the first 3 versions. So it was great. I really enjoyed it.
How this process is organized, how different BSAs from all over the globe decide how to form their body of knowledge. What is the source of truth? How you interact? How is it working?
That's a great question. Most of us had experience as project managers. So many of us had already belonged to PMI, the Project Management Institute. And we saw that PMI helped elevate the profession of business analysis, of project management. And we thought, wow, if we could do something like that for business analysts, that would be really great. So we really learned a lot from them, and their body of knowledge had these big chapters called knowledge areas. So we kind of started with that same structure. There were already quite a few books on requirements engineering, like Carl Wiegers had already written a book called Software Requirements, so we had some sources, and many of us came from the IT world. I was a programmer initially. And so we had experience, doing data flow diagramming, structured process techniques. There were quite a few resources actually. And our goal was to try to bring them all together into one place to have, one body of knowledge. So it was good.
How much time did it take for you to develop the first draft?
Oh, I have to check my memory there, but probably we initially probably spent the first year just doing an outline. Trying to figure out what those big knowledge areas were going to be. And we had a lot of disagreements, it was all, in those days, we didn't have video, but we were all remote. So we were having conference calls. And I have to always thank the Bank of Montreal because they allowed us to use their conference bridge because at that time it was very expensive to do conference calls, across the world. So we had a lot of hours on the phone. But so I'd say about a year before we came up with kind of an outline or a structure. And then we each took one knowledge area and we got subcommittees and started actually writing text. And then, the writing process and the editing process, it probably took us a couple years to really, get that to a point where it was good enough. And when we first released it, we kept saying, it's just a draft, it's just a starting point. And then we asked all the members at the time to give us feedback, and we got hundreds and hundreds of comments, and we went through every single one and tried to incorporate, all the feedback that we got so that the next version was much better. But each version has taken a few years, I think.
But it's amazing. Now, do you implement somehow agile approach in a new version when you did that version, or it's still the same?
That's a great question, Olga. It's something, and I'm currently on the board of the IIBA, and we've been talking about that a lot. And the staff is working on how can we be more agile, and how can we, a lot of people don't even want a book anymore, and we do now have the Knowledge Hub. So the IIBA has all of the BOK is digital, and you can, find things and search it and learn it in little pieces. So we really like that. But some people still want a book. So we still have to be able to put all those pieces together and print either a PDF or even a hard copy. But we're working right now on some approaches, and I know a lot of other certifying organizations also are working on how do you change the content without changing it so much that it's hard for people taking the exams. So we have to keep things kind of in sync. That is a challenge right now, and I think, and I'm not on the staff. I'm just a volunteer, so I don't know all the things that they're working on. But I know that is one of the things they're working on is, how can we keep evolving the standard without making it too hard for people that are studying for exams.
Yeah, and I know that many people are really afraid when they see BA BOK printed. They are scary, like, is it my profession? Should I learn everything by heart?
Right,
it's
right.
so difficult mentally to understand that, this is a guideline you need to know.
Right. And so, one thing we did a few years ago, we actually put out a smaller, just the standard, a small document that's more of a kind of overview introduction, so that the people that are studying for the entry exam, the ECBA, can use that and not get overwhelmed with 600 pages of the whole, BA BOK, because we know it's big, there's a lot in there. And so again, I think you're going to see in the future, hopefully, it's ways that it'll be easier for people to read and consume and understand. I don't look at it as that you have to know everything in there. It's just like a great reference whenever you need help. I still refer to it, even though I feel like I kind of know everything in there. I still look at it sometimes and remind myself or look up a new technique. So it's hopefully BAs see it as their little encyclopedia, right? That they can have whenever they need help.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also refer to it many times, and I use it every day in my BA work. So it's like books that you need to keep open all the time.
Right. Yes.
And if there is any spoilers on the fourth version, because I know a few people who are feeling not confident if they need to invest in the third version, because probably it would be the next version soon and they need to wait for it. So what do you think?
Well, of course, I want everyone to join IIBA. And if you join, you can have access to the Knowledge Hub, and all the BOK is out there. So I wouldn't wait to not join and wait, because I don't think it's going to be really soon that it comes out. And again, it may come out in pieces or small, areas. So I think being a member is the best way to stay on top of what's happening with that. The other thing that we have done is we have developed an Agile extension of the BOC. And one of the pieces of feedback that we've gotten from a lot of members is they would like to see Agile sort of incorporated into the main, document or the main body of knowledge. So that's something else I think that the team is working on, is how we can sort of incorporate those things, because everybody is using some techniques of Agile.
Of course.
Yeah. And we definitely need to understand that as BAs so that we can better communicate with our developers and technology staff.
And if we started talking about extension, like agile extension, probably product ownership analysis,
right?
How do you think either is a future for business analysis, or it will be consumed by agile product management or other disciplines?
I don't think so. I think we are going to continue to have so many different opportunities for our career development. There's still, of course, Agile is one area and product ownership is another area, but there's still a very strong need for business process analysts, and people that can help with organizations that have complex processes to streamline and improve. The area of cybersecurity is just going to continue to grow, and there's a huge need for people that are not really technical, but think of it from a business perspective like we do. And then there's the whole data analysis and data science area. So I think if you get fundamental BA skills, then there's so many different career paths that you can take. And that going to be another one, right? Where, if you can think and work with an AI tool and help that better support your organization, that's going to be a great value too. So I don't see us limiting ourselves at all. And I like to think that BAs are also, growing into, there's the architecture field, right? Business and enterprise architecture. I'd like to see us be more in the management structure, like be CIOs and be CEOs and chief operating, people that want to do more of the management side of things. There's plenty of opportunities for that also.
I recently played for a while with ChatGPT and asked about business analysis and how to apply business analysis in this industry, in this field, in this domain, and always ChatGPT provided excellent replies. So business analysis is something that you can apply everywhere. And I practice it even in my personal life, and it works because core concept model is amazing. It helps to solve any problem in any area of life. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you for this. Barbara, you spent, I believe, more than 2 decades volunteering at the IAB. What is your motivation, and how can you be so dedicated to one profit organization for so long term?
Yeah, we are celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, which is surprising to me in some ways because it has gone by fast. But I guess I felt like it's such an important type of work. Every organization that I worked with, I felt like we didn't have enough people that were doing some deep thinking before we were building software. We were just going off and building things. So I felt really strongly that it was important. And my dad was an educator. And so I grew up really valuing education. As I said, I had a training company. I was teaching people. And I just felt like a professional association, especially a worldwide association, would be the best way to get the word out to as many people as we could, more than I could do myself. So I felt like, being a part of the association was really the way to spread the word. And honestly, Olga, I found I just enjoy other people like myself. I like working with them. I feel comfortable with them. I've made so many dear friends. And so it's been almost a little part of my social life over the years. I have all these friends all over the world, and I'm traveling now a lot. And wherever I go, I hook up with some business analysts that I've met through IIBA. So it's been, I don't know, they call it a labor of love, right? I love the people. I love what we're doing. I think what we're doing is helping make, the world a better place, make our organizations better. And when I think about ending each, I've done a lot of different kinds of volunteer work. So it's been good. I've learned a lot of different things. When I think about ending, it makes me kind of sad. Oh, I don't want to disconnect, from my people. So I'm already thinking about my board tenure is going to be done next June. I'll have been on the board for 8 years, which was a pretty big commitment. But I'm already thinking about what my next volunteer work might be, just to try to keep helping and contributing. And it's so gratifying to see and meet people like you who, have benefited from the organization and are enthusiastic and excited about it and continuing to lead. So that makes me feel like the work has been worth it.
Yes, exactly. What you said, it was like very much resonated to myself because I feel the same, and I'm really happy that I have this chance to run the IABA in Belarus and
Yes.
worldwide with all those people who are now located everywhere and who join us virtually. So this is an amazing opportunity, and I don't think that without the IABA I could meet you. So this is
Right.
wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I've met so many interesting and smart and thoughtful people who I just love talking to. We're unusual in some ways because we enjoy getting into really detailed conversations and trying to solve problems, and that's what I find really enjoyable. So,
yeah. This is a great chance. Thank you so much for launching this organization and providing us with this opportunity nowadays. So really, I really appreciate it. I believe my colleagues will also appreciate and our members will appreciate this. And Barbara, the question is about certification. We talked about your way when you considered certification in your organizations, and you figured out that it was professional associations that further started and the IABA. But what about certification right now? How is it prepared? How is it difficult to prepare the certification process, and who is involved? How many people is involved? It's like, behind the scene, we are all going through this process, but we never thought how it was done from the other side.
Right. Yeah, it is pretty challenging. There are a lot of standards for any certifying body that you have to follow. And we are very rigorous at IIBA about following those patterns and rules and standards. There are very few people in the organization who actually can be involved with the exam writing. So we're very careful about making sure that it's very secure and it's confidential. And so it's a small group of people at the association that do most of that work. Now, we also often ask for members to help us with that, either drafting some questions or reviewing questions, and all the questions have to be reviewed by multiple people. So it's a pretty rigorous process. And that's, again, why when we talk about changing the BOK and changing the exam, it's a pretty big chore. And the IIBA staff, I think people are sometimes surprised to realize, we only have like 40 people on staff at the IIBA.
Oh, really?
It's a very small,
large organization.
It's very small. Now we have over 1,000 volunteers. But, in terms of people that are actually doing this as a full-time job, there aren't very many of them. Mm-hmm. So that's why sometimes it takes them a while to put out a new certification or to put out a new version, because it's a small staff. We're still a young organization, and it's hard to find the right people to hire because, as you know, what we do is so unique. And so we're very careful about who we hire full time. We're also very careful with the association's money. So we don't want to get too much staff and then not be able to, afford to do other things. So we've been pretty conservative with the way that we've grown the organization. And we continue to do that. I think that's one thing I've been really happy with being on the board. Our job as the board directors is just to oversee what the staff does and make sure they're being responsible with all the members' funds and feedback and things like that. And we are very, right now, we're very happy with the management that we have. We have a great CEO, Delvin Fletcher, and we have a great staff. They have a great senior leadership team, and we're poised to grow more. And as we grow more, we'll bring on some more staff. But it's a small group.
It's amazing because I expected like about 100 of people who.
Yeah.
But it's so small and so dedicated, and I feel so much happy to hear this, because sometimes I'm hesitated if we have enough people on the IAB Belarus board, or we need it's okay. We are strong, small but strong.
Right. That's exactly right. If you have the right people, you can do a lot with a small group.
Yeah. And continue the topic of the certification. You are certified both by the IAB and PMI organization, and both certification are in business analysis. I know that some people are hesitating. They don't know which institute provides better certification for the business analyst. My personal opinion, of course, is the IAB, but I understand the reasons why people want to join PMI, because probably they're more involved in project management and other reasons. But from your perspective, and because you're a member of both organizations, how to make the wise choice?
I am still a member of PMI, and I'm a PMP. I still do work with project managers a lot. Also, I do feel like I'm glad that PMI is also emphasizing the value of business analysis, because I think in the past, they didn't realize how important it was. And a lot of projects fail because they don't have good requirements or good business analysis. So, I'm happy that PMI is in the space. And I would say the good news is that what PMI has put out, they have a guide to business analysis, they call it. It's very consistent with the BA-BOC. As a matter of fact, a lot of the same people that contributed to the BA-BOC were involved with PMI's document. So that was the best news from my perspective, is that we're saying the same things. There's a really clear direction. So if you're working with someone who was certified from PMI, they're still going to know the same things as we do in the BOC.
Yes.
I think. Oh, did you? Yeah, I think I know the PMI business analysis exam, at least it's been a little while since I took it, but it's not as difficult or challenging as the IIBA one. Because I don't think PMI they're not experts in business analysis. They just recognize that it's important. So I think if you're a project manager who maybe wants to know a little bit more about business analysis, then PMI has some really good offerings. If you want to be a professional business analysis for your career, I think I would, go with IIBA. Now, what's interesting is that PMI has a certification for newer project managers called CAPM, a certificate of, I don't know what the A stands for, authorization and project management, something like that. They're coming out with a new exam in July, and a quarter of it is going to be business analysis.
Oh,
so they're doing even more in the business analysis area. And I think it's, again, a recognition that if you want a successful project, you need to have some business analysis skills, whether it's the project manager who does it or whether you bring on a BA, you can't do it without business analysis.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I met different opinions about certifications, like it's not needed, it's not necessary, but I think it's very beneficial because you learn the guide, the body of knowledge,
right?
And you incorporate all this practice in your work, in your daily routine,
right?
And it happens unconsciously and improves, regardless if you pass the exam or not. It improves your work, it improves the way you're working. Yeah.
That's right. I agree with you. I think it's more the value of studying.
Yeah, exactly.
And as human beings, we can study something, but if we're going to be tested on it, we take it a little more seriously, right? It's just natural. So, but I agree with you. I think studying for a certification exam is a really good way to learn a lot, whether or not, like you say, whether or not you pass or not, you still have learned a lot of information, and it's very valuable.
Yeah, many people are confused, like, it's about 50 techniques in the BA book, and they said, like, I practice just 10. Should I go through the exam?
Mhm.
I said, like,
Mhm.
yes, of course, because first of all, you learn about other 40.
Right, right,
You'll have a chance to incorporate them in your practice. You will,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's talk about the growth. Like many people who are certified, they're quite experienced in business analysis and they're considering their career growth and movement. And it's like among the community where I work, IT community is like one of the natural way to grow vertically. When you go to the leader position, then you go to management position. And I think that it's not about mastering your business analysis skills. It's about switching to other direction. But you wrote a wonderful book, and I learned through it when I was on the VA manager position, how to manage business analyst. Can you share with our followers what are the tricks and tips if they're growing fast and if they found themselves on the manager position, but they don't understand who are BSAs and business analysts, business system analysts, and how to manage them?
Sure. Yeah, this is a great topic, and we wrote that book a little while ago, but I've been reminded of it. One of my clients right now, we're having this conversation about how should the BAs be organized and who should they report to, and all those questions. I feel like the business analysts don't need a lot of supervision. We we like to work, we like to do research, we like to get things done, so you really need, I think, a manager who recognizes that if you give a BA a goal, here's what we need done, kind of let them go. And you don't need to, maybe day to day watch what they're doing. And so I'm really been advocating for the idea of the self-organizing team that comes from a lot of the agile approaches, that if in it, because I think it's great to work with other BAs. I think, one of the hardest things is if you're the only BA in your company or the only BA in a group, because you don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of and to share concerns or problems. But if you have a small group of BAs and they work really well together, then again, I think a lead BA in a lot of companies is actually just a senior BA who maybe also does some management reporting, but they still do BA work, because very few BAs want to get out of BA work. We don't want to leave it. So it's kind of a working manager type position that I see in a lot of companies, where they might do some of the more complex problems. They mentor some of the new BAs and coach them. So, it's like we're very good at educating people and helping them learn. And I think that's what the manager of a BA group really does. I think it's always funny when a manager gets put in charge of BAs, but they don't have any business analysis experience, and they don't understand what we do and how to manage it. And that was kind of what we wrote the book for, was trying to help them understand who these people are that you're now in charge of. And that they don't need micromanagement, that they really need coaching and setting goals. And we like to talk things through, kind of report what our research has found, what we think the recommendations are. We need support with upper management, because sometimes we make recommendations that upper management doesn't like or doesn't agree with, and we need a manager to help us advocate for us.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a little different, I think, than being a supervisor or, maybe of an accounting department. It's a different kind of role.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for this book. It's really helpful, and I strongly recommend everyone who is leading business analyst to start with it. Okay, and if we are on time now, I would like to ask you one more additional question.
Sure.
Based on your more than 3 decades experience in business analysis, what is the best advice you can give for less experienced followers?
I was thinking about this, Olga. It's a great question. And what I would recommend, of course, we all love to learn. And if you love to learn and you love this job, you're always going to be trying to learn new things and doing lots of research. And as you build sort of your expertise, what you're going to find, I think, is that sometimes your company might be making a decision and you have a feeling that you know what the correct decision is, but you're not 100% sure, or you don't trust yourself. And so I always encourage BAs, if you have a feeling about something, you're probably right. You know, if for example, your company is starting a new project and you think it's not going to work, at least it's not framed the way that it should be, then I would encourage you to kind of spend some more time thinking about what do you think the issues are? What do you think the challenges are? And to present those to your management and be very open and honest and just say, I think there's maybe some problems with this. And even better, if you can bring some solutions, right? If we change this a little bit, I think it would be more successful. I think early in my career, I tended to be hesitant to make recommendations because I wasn't 100% sure, but nobody's 100% ever sure, right?
Yes.
If you feel like something is not right, or you feel like something's not going to work, I think you need to speak out and try to advocate to do things differently. Because I've seen a lot of projects fail, and it was often something that I felt like I knew this wasn't going to work, you know, but
Yeah,
I didn't say anything, or I didn't know how to say it. So trust your instinct. I think they're usually good.
I think that most people are really afraid to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel very confident, and I like business analysis because it gives a lot of tools and techniques how you can structurize your decision and how you can
Right.
solid, valid arguments why the solution that trying to develop is not the best one. So
right.
business analysts, they like naturally by their profession are empowered with these instruments and tools, and they can just speak up.
Yes. You know, Olya, we had Ernst & Young do a study a few years ago, IIBA did, and they asked executives what was the most valuable thing about having business analysts. And the executives said that it helped them to make decisions.
Yes.
So they want us, we do all this research, we understand all the details. They want us to share what we've learned. And sometimes they don't like the answer, oh, this isn't a good idea, but they really do want to know, because the company doesn't want to spend a lot of money on something that's not going to be successful. So we have to be brave.
Be brave, yeah, be brave.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Barbara. I enjoyed a lot with this conversation. It was so amazing and insightful because I learned about the IABA organization itself, the certification process, the BA book preparation process, and great insights on how to be successful in business analysis. I really appreciate your time and your involvement in our BA Leadership Talks initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. It was so good to talk with you, and thanks to everybody at the Belarus chapter.